Buying a high-end smartphone today requires walking a painfully thin line. Pay too much, and you're funding expensive features destined to go unused. Pay too little, and you're stuck with a stuttering screen and a battery that dies by dinner. Right in the center of that tension sits the Samsung Galaxy S26 Plus. On paper, it holds obvious appeal. You get the massive canvas of a top-tier display without carrying around a heavy brick in your pocket, and you keep a few $100s in your bank account. But that exact positioning creates a psychological trap. It is incredibly easy to look at this device and wonder if you're paying a premium badge tax for a minor, uninspired update. Look at how Samsung structures their current lineup. We have the base model, the Plus, and the Ultra. When we blur out the edges and focus strictly on the Plus, the friction becomes obvious. You are staring at a decidedly high price tag, paired directly with an iterative camera system. We must look past the spec sheets and marketing fluff to map out whose daily habits extract real value from this specific hardware and who is simply throwing their money away. This price point demands a realistic assessment of your own daily usage. Let's start with the physical footprint. We are looking at a polished armor aluminum frame built around a massive 6.7-inch screen, all keeping the weight down to a surprisingly light 190 grams. Visually, there is very little separating this from the last generation. The design language is highly iterative, sticking safely to the established Samsung playbook. But that lack of aesthetic innovation pays off in daily comfort. Holding a 190-gram phone means you can navigate a screen this large one-handed for extended periods without feeling wrist fatigue. That large canvas is a dynamic AMOLED 2X panel running at a QHD+ resolution with a 120 Hz refresh rate. The practical outcome of those specs is pure brightness. You can stand in direct, harsh sunlight and still clearly read your screen or comfortably stream Netflix and YouTube without hunting for shade. The trade-off for this weight and profile is material density. You are bypassing the heavyweight titanium frames reserved for the absolute top tier. By skipping the titanium, you lose a bit of aesthetic bragging rights, but you gain a device built specifically for superior wrist comfort and immersive, hour-long media sessions. Driving that display is Samsung's new Exynos 2600 processor, backed up by 12 gigabytes of RAM. Push this chip hard with rapid app switching or heavy titles like BGMI and Genshin Impact, and it handles the load smoothly, keeping that 120 Hz screen feeling fluid. The glass back does get warm during those intense gaming sessions, but the internal thermal management kicks in effectively. Instead of a hard drop in frame rates, performance remains stable over the long haul. That processing power also drives a heavy suite of utility-focused Galaxy AI tools. Features like Live Translate and Circle to Search run fast enough to actually be useful in your daily workflow. All of this underlying hardware exists to support one massive commitment from Samsung: 7 full years of operating system and security updates. This chart illustrates exactly what that 7-year promise means in reality. As we track from 2024 to 2031, the software relevance line stays high and completely stable, even as the expected hardware degradation curve slowly begins to drop beneath it. The steep upfront price of this phone starts to make sense here. You are paying a premium to guarantee your software stays fully supported long after the battery starts showing its age. The Exynos 2600 isn't tuned to break isolated benchmark records. It is tuned to deliver reliable, generalist performance that won't leave you stranded half a decade from now. Flipping to the back, we find a familiar triple camera array anchored by a 50-megapixel main sensor and a 10-megapixel telephoto lens with 3x optical zoom. This spec table compares the S26 Plus directly to the previous generation. Notice how the highlighting reveals 0 changes to the core camera sensors. The hardware is identical. Despite relying on older hardware, the daily output is highly reliable. It captures natural color profiles and sharp details, with portrait edge detection that rarely misses the mark. But reliability isn't bleeding-edge capability. If you are a dedicated content creator heavily relying on extreme zoom range or massive sensor leaps, this setup will feel restrictive. Where the hardware setup does excel is power economics. The 4900 mAh battery easily pushes through a full day of heavy usage without demanding a midday top-up. Yet reaching that top-up exposes a specific financial annoyance. The phone supports 45-watt fast charging, but you will open the box to find no charging brick included. The combination of last year's camera hardware and excellent battery life rewards the practical point-and-shoot user, while shortchanging the tech enthusiast looking for the absolute cutting edge. The Galaxy S26 Plus is an exercise in highly calculated compromise. To decide, let's look at this decision tree, starting with, what is your primary priority? If you are a mobile power user, prioritizing max screen space and gaming comfort in a lighter package, the path leads to the S26 Plus. Your return on investment comes from pairing a massive display with a 190-gram chassis that won't exhaust your hands during a 2-hour Netflix binge. But if you're a content creator, your priorities flow through bleeding-edge hardware and ultimate camera tools, dropping you firmly in the S26 Ultra territory. Spending flagship money simply because you want a novel camera experience will result in instant buyer's remorse if you pick the Plus. Finally, we have the pragmatic upgraders, those users who value total systemic stability over the annual hype cycle. If you buy a new phone every 1 to 2 years, you are paying for 5 years of software support you will never use. That if your strategy is to buy a phone today and hold on to it for 4 to 7 years, the integrated AI tools and the update promise justify the high entry cost. The Galaxy S26 Plus is a strategic investment in reliability over novelty. It demands that you truthfully know your own habits before you buy.